Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, ready to get into our top 5 horror movies of 1983. This is going to be absolutely crazy. Got Coriander with me and Killian, of course. And if you haven't checked out our other years where we have done this, you've got to do it. We did 1980, 1981, and then 82. Kill, first of all, just to talk with you about this, for 1983, what did you think about this year and how you made your choices for top 5?
For me, this was a good year. Not as good as 82 per se, but is it me or is this like the year of the Stephen King adaptation? It just seems like all the companies were just buying those cheap adaptations that Stephen was just like kind of giving them out for free and just going to town. Right. Hey, it's a good year for him.
Yep. How about you, Coriander?
Oh man, this is a fun year. I can't wait to talk about all the movies I picked.
Okay.
And yeah, it'll be fun.
All right. Okay. For me, I definitely think this year was interesting because it seemed like we had a lot of movies that were kind of, there were some standalones, there were some things coming from the foreign side of horror, and it was just like a mishmash, but it was very interesting. And I think this is going to be a fun discussion. For you guys watching, definitely let us know in the comment section what you think about our choices as we go through them. And don't forget to hit the like button because it helps to support the channel. So we're going to do this round robin style as we always do. Kill, you're going to go first, and then Coriander, and then me. So Kill, let's start off with your number 5 movie in your top 5 films of 1983.
Okay. So this one, is kind of near and dear to my heart, and me and Knight have seen this many a time growing up. And look, I love cars. Okay, so my number 5 is Christine. Look, if I have a car that is kind of like a crazy, jealous girlfriend, that could either be a good thing if I'm faithful and if I'm a good dude, or it could be a really bad thing for my human girlfriends and so forth. But look, Stephen King is a master, and for us, anything that was even related with Stephen King that came out in the 80s, am I lying, Knight?
You're right.
We devoured it. It just was
on
rotation. The list goes on. You guys, if you've seen some of our videos on the channel, you know that we absolutely, all of us, love Stephen King. Yet his adaptations, there's peaks and valleys depending on what it is.
What the movie is exactly.
Dreamcatcher's looking at you.
That's right. Who? Which one?
Dreamcatchers, I'm looking at you.
The greatest eyebrows of all time.
Right? Oh, Morgan. Okay. But no, for me, this one had to be on the list, and it's just a classic for me. And I love cars, vintage cars, and this one literally is one of the first Stephen King movies or adaptations that I can remember that I saw. This one, like, for some reason, and Knight, you're older than me, but like, I just think of all the ones that we saw back then, Firestarter, Pet Sematary, you name it. But Christine, for some reason, always registers into my brain as one of the first ones that I actually saw, and I love it. And I try to watch it every few years, and I'm about due. So guys, if you have not seen Christine, or you're just like, I don't like killer cars, come on, check it out.
Okay. Show me.
Right. All right. Coriander, how about you? What do you have at your number 5?
All right. So my number 5 is The Hunger. This is a great vampire movie. I mean, you have David Bowie in it, Susan Sarandon, who I love. And yeah, it's about this Egyptian vampire that David Bowie is like her lover, and as long as she keeps him around and drinks his blood, he'll stay young, but yeah, once, she gets interested in someone else, then it's almost like bye-bye for you.
Hmm.
and Susan Sarandon is like a doctor that David Bowie's character is seeing because he's figuring out, it's his time to, move on. So it's like a sad, crazy, erotic movie. The ending is like, wow, it's crazy, it's sad, and David Bowie actually learned to play the cello for this role. So yeah, it was
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. It's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, check it out.
I didn't know that he learned to play the cello for the movie. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
right?
David Bowie, you definitely rest in peace to
He's
David Bowie,
incredible. Yeah.
because I mean, obviously an icon in music, but I think
Hmm.
he really,
He's a great
you know,
actor too, dude.
yeah,
Labyrinth, and
yeah,
yeah, it's too bad he didn't act more.
yes, that's
So,
what I was thinking
mm,
exactly. Because I think he had a natural um, ability. He had a natural
hmm
charisma, and when he was on
he's a
screen in any of
performer.
those, yes,
I mean, look at
yes,
some of his music videos. I mean, he was born to do this. So,
mm, good point. Excellent choice, man. That was great, Coriander. Absolutely. And I haven't seen The Hunger in a while, so I definitely gotta
yes, we do.
introduce myself to it because it's been
Hmm.
quite a few years. Great
Yeah.
choice. All right. Well, for me, I have an honorable mention I want to throw out. I've got a couple honorable mentions, but I'll throw out my first one before I get to my number 5. And this is a movie that we talked about on Slasher Movie Club, which was a really interesting film that had ups and downs, but because it was a beautifully shot and I think a fairly beautifully crafted movie, I just wanted to mention it, and that's A Blade in the Dark. And this movie, of course, we love our Italian horror, and especially with these giallos. This is a movie that was directed by Lamberto Bava, and Coriander. I remember when we watched this,
Hmm.
we were kind of like, it was pretty good. I think there were
Hmm.
a couple issues with it, but that's partly because it was originally planned to be a television. It was really originally planned for television, and it was made like as a nearly 2-hour piece that was split into 4 parts. So when they decided to not do it for television, they kind of put it together, re-edited it into a feature film. So the pacing of it, I remember when we watched it, the pacing of it was a little bit off. But if you put that aside, it was a pretty cool movie. You got this killer that's stalking a composer that's staying at like the biggest villa of all time. He's alone in this thing. This is a place where you can have like 50 people, and he's in there alone. He's trying to write a score to this horror movie, which has a clue to the killer's identity, that type of thing. So it's like a mystery, and it's definitely a pretty cool Italian giallo.
I want to hurt you. I want your blood. Don't act like.
But my number 5 is a little movie that I was reintroduced to just recently when we talked about it on the channel, and it has one of my favorite actors of all time, and that's Mortuary, and it has Bill Paxton in it. And Coriander, I know you're a fan of that. Now,
That's
this is
cool.
right.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really cool little movie. Now, it's a little bit of a cheat, though, guys, because it was originally released in '82, but then it had an expanded release in 1983. So I just want to
So that
throw
counts.
that out there. Yeah, to
That
me, it
counts.
counts. And either way,
Exactly.
and either way, I want to talk about it because it's Bill Paxton. You know what I'm saying? But you got Mary Beth McDonough, Bill Paxton, Linda Day George, Christopher George, in his final film role before his death. The late great Christopher George. And Coriander, I know you're a huge Christopher George fan.
Hmm.
So you have all these great actors, and of course Bill Paxton was amazing, and rest in peace to him too. But it's basically this whole thing about this woman who's investigating the death of her father, and then there's all these secrets that are surrounding this local mortuary, and what that entails. And it was a really cool little movie. I had never seen it until we did it for an episode on Slasher Movie Club, and obviously Coriander, you had
And I
recommended
was
it.
trying to get you to watch. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Mhm. You were trying your best, man. You're like,
I
check
did.
this out. Come
Oh, I didn't
on.
sound like that. Oh my
No,
God.
you did. No, you did. You're all right. But no, big credit to you, because Mortuary is a really cool little hidden gem from 1983 or 82, however you want to look at it. But I think a lot more people should check it out because it was a really cool slasher film from back in the day. So anyways, that's my number 5, Mortuary. Okay.
Nice.
All right, Kill. So let's head to number 4. What do you got for me, man?
Okay. So my number 4 is a little movie called Sleepaway Camp.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny. I got to revisit this one. I haven't seen it in maybe like 5 years, but it's definitely one of those ones that came out. You know, not taking any steam from it, but it came out under the wave of the Friday the 13th movies. I mean, it's a slasher, you know, and you know there was a lot of that going on, you know, and so forth, you know. But essentially, this one has always like had a good place in my heart. I believe the first time I actually watched it was on one of those Saturday, you know, horror showcases that would come on like regular TV, you know, where it's censored, you know. But then, of course, seeing it, you know, the real version and so forth.
You must have been like, what the hell, when you actually saw it? Oh my God.
Right. Hey, that's what everyone said.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, but you know, like this is a fun one, and I'm actually looking at my list and I'm like, wow, that's really the only slasher for the most part I have on my list, kind of. But it's definitely a fun movie, and I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, this one hasn't been remade at all, right?
No.
They haven't remade Sleepaway Camp.
I don't think so.
God, didn't they? I can't remember. But
I
mean, because like April Fool's Day has been remade. You know, there's so many other ones.
If they did, then it's definitely something that wasn't worth the time.
Came and went. To my knowledge, and you know, guys in the chat, you know, when you see this, let us know in the comments, because I would be very curious and interested in seeing a remake. But you know, as it stands in my mind, there is no remake to it. So if you get a chance, go check it out. It's a fun slasher, and you know, it's 83. Kids, give it a chance.
There you go. All right. How about you, Coriander, at number 4?
All right. So, y'all don't laugh at me. But my number 4, I have Jaws 3D. This is like a guilty pleasure, I guess you could call it. I like Dennis Quaid. Okay, he's a great actor.
Yeah,
and you have Louis Gossett Jr. and Leah Thompson. And I mean, come on, Jaws is in a theme park, you know, and it's like, I love it. I'm sorry. Kill's shaking his head, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing, but I was just shaking my head to them putting him in a theme park.
Hey,
not a smart move.
It isn't. They shouldn't have had that opening from the ocean. But those dolphins, you know, I get it. So it's great, and yeah, I love it. So there you go.
Look, when we saw it as kids, man, obviously the big thing about it was that it was in 3D, and all I remember, you know, growing up as a kid was that part where it just broke through the glass and it felt like it was coming out of the damn TV and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, Dennis Quaid is always money. Louis Gossett is always great, and I think you know, obviously we've talked about Jaws. And at some point, we'll probably talk about Jaws 2, and we should talk about Jaws 3. I don't know if we'll even dive into Jaws 4.
It's terrible.
But yeah, even Michael Caine. Even Michael Caine knew Jaws 4 was bad. He was like, "I'm just doing this so I can buy my mother a house." But but no, Jaws 3 has some fun elements to it. You know what I mean? And again, it's a Jaws movie. So, but yeah, it's a pretty good choice. All right. So for me, for my next honorable mention that I want to throw out there, this is a movie that, you know, it's kind of one of those movies that when I saw it, it just kind of stuck with me for a while because it was so batshit crazy. And I figure with doing these top fives, I like to throw out some honorable mentions. Sometimes you can't put everything on there. This would not have made my top five, but I wanted to just throw it out there. But this is a movie from 1983 called Mausoleum, and
Nice.
this is it's a
You
crazy.
a slasher.
Did you like this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. When was the last time you seen it?
Oh God, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Obviously,
It's-
I used to
it's
own
cra-
it.
Okay, yeah, it's crazy, man. You got this guy that's getting help from a psychiatrist to help his wife, who is cursed, to share her body with a demon. It's got cheesy, effects type of stuff going on, but it's just one of those movies that when I saw it, I was young enough that it just kind of stuck with me, and so I just wanted to throw out there because it's crazy. If you want to have a cheesy, campy time with an '80s movie, this is one that you might want to check out, and no one ever talks about it, so that's why I wanted to throw it here. But anyways, for my number four, this is a movie that I absolutely love, and it's a movie that I'll never forget when I first saw the VHS cover for it and also the title of the movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And it's just one of those movies that we actually just did a watch party for it not too long ago, but it's an absolute classic starring one of my favorite actresses. I'm going with Cujo.
Oh,
And
nice.
Dee Wallace can do no wrong, in my opinion. She is absolutely money. Period. But this movie, it's one of those movies. Again, Kill kind of referenced it with Stephen King. This is one of those stories that, on paper, it sounds kind of like what, you know what I mean? But then when you watch the movie, or if you read the book, all of a sudden it kind of becomes much more sensible. It makes more sense. It's more organic. You can see where the true terror can be in this situation with this poor dog named Cujo. As a kid, he scared the shit out of me though. And so many great
But he was
scenes
so
in this.
cute in the beginning. I mean, come on.
He was
Yeah.
adorable. He was absolutely adorable. But there were so many great scenes in this movie, and just the camera work, and obviously Dee Wallace, when we did an Icons episode on her, just spotlighting her career, she definitely dealt with some health issues after the filming of this because of just the emotional roller coaster that she was on, and so anyways, and you could tell because she was just like, ooh, like so stressed out, high strung, stressed out, and so forth. So credit to Dee Wallace. But yeah, I had to have this on my list. So for me, at number 4, I've got Cujo, Stephen King's Cujo. So
Nice.
all right, Kill. So let's head to number 3. What do we got, man?
Okay, and I try not to have more than one movie from the same author or director or so forth. I try to spread the love. There's no lying here. My number 3 is Cujo.
What?
Hey, look, this is the year of Stephen King adaptations. I said that at the beginning. I would totally be doing myself a disservice if I did not put this one here for a few reasons. One, this is a classic that me and my brother and our cousins watched together numerous times, knowing how the movie goes, rooting for Dee Wallace, just watching it and just kind of commentating, losing our stuff. And for us back then, it was truly nightmare fuel. And I love dogs. It took me time to get over my fear of dogs, especially Rottweilers. I think they're super cute. They're like teddy bears now. But Cujo was scary and smart and kind of petty too, which was like, you're kind of an asshole, dude.
Right.
And Dee Wallace, I've said this before when we were talking about Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, how Sarah Polley had these action shots of fear where you could feel her slamming into like a tub to get away from a zombie. Dee Wallace, you could feel the primal fear that she had from trying to not be killed, not to have her throat ripped out by Cujo.
And protecting her son.
Exactly.
Right.
Who's got like asthma or whatever, or he's like just hyperventilating or something.
Yes.
But that poor kid.
She's the ultimate mama bear in here.
Mm-hmm.
She's protecting her baby. And this is serious. This is life or death. And you feel it.
That's right.
Feel it. And I just, and this is the last thing I'll say, but I just remember those scenes in the car. Cujo is just like pacing around the vehicle.
Yeah.
Trying to duck her out, wait her out, and she's just like, "Is he gone?" And then it's just like, "Oh,
yeah."
Like, and we're watching it, and we're our first time, we're like, "Oh," and
right.
Watching it for like the millionth time, we're like, he's there. What? Look,
That's right. Okay, so Coriander, what do you have for your number 3 for 1983?
All right, so I love when these moments happen, especially when we're doing these countdowns. My number 3 is Cujo.
Hey.
Right.
Yeah, this is like one of my favorite Stephen King movies. I love, like, isn't Cujo like a Saint Bernard, right? He's a cute,
I
big.
believe so.
Is he
Yeah,
Saint Bernard or was he a
he
Rottweiler?
is. No, he's
No,
a
he
Saint
was
Bernard man
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
in the movie. I don't know if he was in the book. I've never read the book, but
Mm.
the movie, yeah, he's this cute Saint Bernard who gets, what is he chasing? Like a butterfly? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
butterfly.
Right.
I think it is a butterfly. Yeah.
It is. And he gets bit by this fucking bat.
Mhm.
And then, you guys talked about all the rest. And it's an intense movie that you feel it, it scares you. It's a great Stephen King movie. And so good job, guys.
And it had a great score too. I just remember a lot of the music in there was very intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well,
Music. It always
Right.
helps a movie, man. The music, especially if they do it right. So.
Yep. Yeah, it was it just drew you in. But not only that, but they spent the time with the characters to build everything up, before stuff went down. So that was, and of course, when you've got really good characters or good actors and actresses in the movie, that makes a huge difference. And obviously, with Dee Wallace and everyone, and Christopher Stone and everyone. So great movie. Okay, so for my number 3, I have another honorable mention I want to throw out first. This is another movie, and it does seem like a running theme, but I do love slasher horror films. I do. But this is another one that is very underrated, kind of a hidden gem that many people don't talk about. And of course, being all the way back, from 1983, I think it's great to shine some light on some of these movies. So anyways, my honorable mention is a movie called Sweet 16. And we also talked about this one on Slasher Movie Club. But what was so cool about it was that we had Dana Kimmel from Friday the 13th Part 3, who played Chris. She was the lead in this movie. And it was just really, really cool. And it's a very simple story. You have this girl as her 16th birthday approaches, and she's gonna have this big party. There's a bunch of murder and mayhem that ensues. It seems to follow this girl around, causing havoc throughout the whole town, and it's basically a mystery to find out what's going on. And I love when you have a movie where it's kind of this mystery aspect or whodunit aspect. We also have shout out to Don Shanks, who played Michael Myers in Halloween 5. He's also in this movie, and he played a really cool character. And so anyways, this is a movie that no one really talks about nowadays, but I think it's a really cool little hidden gem from 1983. So Sweet 16 is my honorable mention. This seems to be a running theme because in our previous episode, our previous top 5, I talked about what I think of as the holy trinity of camp films. And I spoke about The Burning. We've talked about Friday the 13th. So for my number 3, it's only right that I talk about Sleepaway Camp. And when I first saw this movie, it just blew my mind. It's so campy, pun intended, and cheesy, but you just love these characters. Shout out to Mel, because that's too bad. And some of the kills were they're just crazy. But anytime you have a movie that is set in the woods, or if you're camping, that already kind of just brings me in. It's kind of a nostalgia feeling. Again, this is the early 80s, and being a big fan of movies like this, or Friday the 13th, I mean, this is right down my alley. But of course, with the ending of the movie, nobody saw that coming, and people that are watching it to this day for the first time, they didn't see that coming. So I think it's one of the great twists in horror movie history, and it's a great film. And if you haven't seen it in a while, or if you've never seen it, it's one of those movies you have to see at least once. So anyways,
Yeah.
I had to have it on my list. So at number 3, I've got Sleepaway Camp. All right, Kill, we're heading into the top 2, man. Let's proceed with caution. What do you have at your number 2?
So for me, my top 2, this was the easier part of my list with where things were going to land. But look, there's a little franchise here that it originally came out, and we didn't know it was going to become a franchise. We thought it was just a standalone masterpiece. But then in the 80s, they were like, no, nothing stays buried forever. So my number 2 is Psycho 2.
Nice.
And look, this, it's like, really? They're making a sequel to that after what? 20, 25, 30 years?
20 some years.
Yeah. It's like, all
22
right.
years.
Yeah, Norman is back. And, we talked about the Psycho franchise here on the channel, and we had so much fun going down memory lane with those. And, a lot of times people are just like, well, you're not going to outdo Alfred Hitchcock. So what are you going to do here? Well, they did their best, and they kind of took some different avenues, and people need to leave Norman alone. Okay, that's the biggest takeaway from all of this.
Those bitches.
Those bitches. Leave Norman alone.
Those bitches.
Let sleeping dogs lay. But it's so funny. This is a movie that I remember watching it, back in the day, but not remembering how good the sequels to Psycho were. And I think a lot of people underrate, the Psycho franchise, and
I liked all of them.
Exactly. I think we all did, especially when we kind of reviewed them all. But that first one just overshadows the whole franchise so much because it is an Alfred Hitchcock classic. But for 1983, for them to kind of go back to this well, they did a damn good job. So this was an easy one for my list, although it did not make my number 1 because, I have something there that's more near and dear to my heart. Psycho 2 is actually a really cool movie, guys. If you have not seen the other movies in the Psycho franchise, because, of course, everybody has probably seen Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece, check them out, because Norman, he just wants to be left alone, so leave that man be. All right. Don't
Bitches leave.
Bitches leave.
Gee, Bobby. Bye.
Exactly.
Don't
my
let me
God.
go back to the dark side, because it won't end well.
Don't make me crazy. You wouldn't like me when I'm
when I'm
crazy.
Brothers.
All right, man.
Hey,
What?
You
What?
guys even laughed and tilted the head the same way. It's like, oh my God, man. Yeah. Oh. We
All
almost did it
right.
again.
all right.
Okay.
Guys, we did not plan this stuff. Let me be quiet.
Right. All right. So, Coriander, now that you've had fun making fun of us, what do you have at your number 2?
All right. So my number 2 is a movie that I absolutely love. and it's Sleepaway Camp. I mean, you guys, yeah, you talked it up pretty good. I saw this when I was like in high school. And the first time I saw it, like you said, the ending, it's like, wow, what the hell did I just see? It's almost like rewind and what was that? Because it's like, what? But anyway, yeah, I love the movie from start to end, and it's a great movie. So that's all I'm gonna say.
It is, man. It's an absolute classic. It's a cult classic.
It is.
It's a
Yes.
mainstay in horror.
Especially in like our age group. I mean, come on. If you're not a Sleepaway Camp fan, keep going. No, I'm just joking.
Bitches leave.
Bitches leave.
Exactly.
I'm gonna start using that. Clarence Boddicker. Bitches leave. All right. Great choice. So for me, this came down to two movies, obviously, and I knew exactly how I was going to rank these. This was actually the easy part for me. This was a year that was fairly easy for me. But this is a movie that is a near and dear to my heart movie. It's also a movie similar to one of the other ones on my list, where I remember looking at, basically it was like a catalog of video rentals, and our parents it was a big book too, had all these video rentals, that when you could go to the store, or to the video store I should say, and you could rent movies. And I used to just love looking at the poster art, and sometimes the title of the movie would catch my attention, or the little synopsis or whatever. This was one of those movies, and it's a masterpiece. It's by one of my favorite directors of all time, and that is John Carpenter's Christine, which is a Stephen King story. So how can you lose? I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes things don't always work out good, even with the best people involved. But in this one, it worked out. What were you gonna say, Coriander?
I wasn't a fan of this one, and I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
I know.
So the fact that you guys, I guess I'm gonna have to check it out sometime.
Okay. Show me.
That's right. We got another Halloween 3 or TCM 2.
I don't know though. I don't know.
Cool car.
I like that it's an old school muscle, but I love. Well, I shouldn't say muscle. It is a muscle. It is.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I like the
I know what you mean.
60s and 70s, and
That black on black.
But
That's
you gotta give it another shot, because again, and this is what happened with Halloween 3 and with TCM 2. You just gotta watch it now and see what happens. Don't go into it.
Maybe we'll have to do it as a watch along, right?
We should, and we can actually position the whole thing that this is your redemption watch. Your redemption watch. But anyways, Christine is a fantastic movie. Shout out to Arnie Cunningham, who was the prototype that David Gordon Green used in Halloween Ends with Corey Cunningham. But anyways, with Christine though, I think it was a really cool story. Again, this is one of those things with Stephen King. When you read it on paper, sometimes it doesn't translate as well. You know what I'm saying? When you just hear what it's about and you're like, well, wait a minute, how's that going to work? But if you watch the movie, or if you read his novel and you get invested in the characters and you start to understand how Stephen King is projecting terror, then all of a sudden you're like, wow, okay, that is freaking creepy. Like you said, Kill, you got this car that's basically a jealous girlfriend, and it's like, how would that work? Well, we see in this movie, and yeah, it's really cool. A lot of great scenes. Again, Carpenter with his craftsmanship, it's top dollar. The cinematography, the music, the lighting, everything was just really crisp. This is a movie that I think for a lot of people, it's kind of an underrated movie in Carpenter's filmography, in my opinion. And I think it's one of those films that you gotta, if you haven't seen it in a while, you gotta, do a rewatch of it. But I think it's fantastic. So at number 2, I've got Christine. All right. We're down to the money. We're down to the money, man. We're going for number one. So, Kill, what do you have at your number one?
Before I get to that, I have a few honorable mentions. I just want to get in here real quick. Okay, so like I said, this was the year of Stephen King, but I was not going to put another Stephen King movie on my list, but shouts out to The Dead Zone. All right.
Yes.
Coriander, I agree with you. The Hunger, amazing vampire flick. I love vampire flicks. And I'm going to say something here. I don't care if this is classified as horror or not, but back in the day, in the early 80s, Disney did not give a shit about kids. So Something Wicked This Way Comes is a horror movie from Disney. And
good for you.
Look, I love Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I reviewed the trailer yesterday just to remember how terrifying it was, and it is. All right, make that little town, the carnival's coming in, making wishes. I see you, Disney. You lighten up a little too much for my taste now, but back then you gave it to kids raw, and you just said, hey, they can handle it, and we could.
Right.
But my number one is a little crazy, insane movie called
Let's open those neural floodgates.
Videodrome.
All right.
And look, this is Cronenberg like on coke or I know I'm just kidding. But this is like
on many things.
Yeah, this is like apex Cronenberg, like just doing what he does. We have James Woods, Deborah Harry. This movie, body horror, like Cronenberg loves body horror, but it always seems like if you're the protagonist, the body horror is going to be done to you. It's not like in Friday the 13th movies, where Jason inflicts body horror on all of the campers. No. Cronenberg is like, oh, you're my star? Well, James, we're going to have you pulling guns out of your stomach. We're going to have guns molding into the veins of your arm. It's just, and it looks amazing. Practical effects people. Videodrome has
putting things where you shouldn't be putting things.
Yes, definitely.
That's right.
Definitely.
You knew she had to go there.
Yeah. Videodrome has so much nuance and so many things that they're talking about, which kind of is relevant today.
Yes,
it's
true.
Spooky, like if you think about it. But James Woods, I've always liked James Woods, and he has this uncanny ability to not only be a hero, but also be a little sleazy.
Yeah.
He's able to like do that. If I'm watching him in Vampires, it's like he's a hero, but he's like a sleazy kind of hero.
That's like the worst movie ever, though, dude. Oh my god.
Wow. Okay,
we'll leave that for another. That could be another redemption watch along.
All I started hearing was crickets in the audience.
Please.
What?
But no.
You said it's the worst movie ever, though?
I've seen worse.
Dude, I saw that in the theater, and I was so disappointed. Yeah, it was. What the fuck? That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Okay. but James Woods, he's a great actor, but I've seen so many movies where he's like the lead, but it's like you're like, man, if you weren't who you were, or if you weren't the lead, you probably would be the bad guy. It's just you're so middle of the road. And this movie is just just that classic 80s Cronenberg. You're watching it, you're wondering what's going to happen next. You're watching it and just wondering what the hell is going on.
Right.
And he's an unreliable narrator, his character in this, because you don't know what's reality and what's not. But I'm going to stop talking because I really love this movie. I could keep talking about it. But if you guys have not seen Videodrome and you love body horror, you love David Cronenberg, check it out. It holds up and it's amazing. Check it out.
All right. Good choice, man. Good choice. It is a crazy ass movie, and we love Cronenberg. You're right though,
Yeah.
man. He takes his actors or his leads, and he's always like, "Hey, you got to get top billing, and that means you got to get fucked up."
Death to Videodrome. Long live the new flesh.
I'm gonna mangle you. I'm gonna mangle the hell out of you.
What are you waiting for, lover? Let's perform.
That's what he should have done instead of Stephen King.
I do it, right?
Oh my god, crazy stuff. All right, Coriander, what do you have as your number one, the greatest film in 1983 for horror?
Yeah. All right. So this is a fun movie. I love the actor, and I love this movie.
Mhm.
Okay, it is called Of Unknown Origin.
All
And
right.
you have our boy Peter Weller,
That's right.
who's in this movie. Okay. And at first, it starts out all nice. I think he like buys this building and he turns it into like his home or like a condo or something. And
Mhm.
he's got an infestation of, if you know what Of Unknown Origin is, it's rats. And
Mhm.
oh my God, man, he gets terrorized. Shit goes down. His beautiful, I don't want to get too deep into it if no one's seen it, but it's a great friggin' movie. And Peter Weller is awesome in this movie. And yeah, it's my number one.
All right. All right. Yeah, it's
Have
a good
you guys
one.
seen that?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it because you kept recommending it. Remember, we had checked it
Yeah.
out, and I was like, man, that actually is
Yeah.
pretty good. I had never seen it before.
Okay.
I was
That-
like, yeah,
yeah.
Peter Weller is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Good one.
Yeah.
Good choice. All right, guys. So for my number one, this was an easy choice. I knew that this was the one that was going to take this spot. It's a movie that I don't think enough people, either had checked out or gave it enough credit and so forth. But I think it's fantastic. We even did a watch party for it. My number one, and you know it's true, is Mountaintop Motel Massacre. And listen.
All right.
And what?
I was like, all right.
You remember that one, right?
I do.
Okay. You liked it, right?
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah.
You know I'm fucking lying. Come on. That's not my number one. Come on, man. Come on. Come
I had
on,
to play
man.
along.
I'm not going to put that above Cujo and Christy. Look,
Oh my God.
it was a movie we got some good laughs out of, but that's not my number one. My number one is a movie that I think is one of the most underrated movies of the 80s, and especially in any franchise, and it's absolutely fantastic. I'm talking about Psycho 2. Listen,
Good for
guys,
you. Nice.
there is no doubt, and Kill, you got it on your list, man, but
You're
and I
going
love
back to those
Videodrome.
bitches.
Bitches leave.
That's right. I love Videodrome. It's great. I love Cronenberg. That would have been an honorable mention. Also, shout out to The Dead Zone, because I love Christopher Walken. But I also didn't want to put another Stephen King on my list. And also shout out to Brooke Adams, who also was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that we absolutely love. She was great in The Dead Zone too. But I gotta be real. There was no doubt I was gonna put Psycho 2 as my number one, because this movie is fantastic, guys. It is so good. This is the example of a movie where your lead character, the weight of the whole movie is on your lead character, your lead actor, Anthony Perkins. Rest in peace to Anthony Perkins. And how crafty or how smart was it to take the character of Norman Bates from Psycho, which was a fantastic film. It's a masterpiece, obviously, Alfred Hitchcock. But to take the character from Psycho, who was a villain, and then in Psycho 2, have him be more or less the protagonist. Like you're following Norman Bates. You're rooting for him.
It's starting again.
And we've got the situation where, like you said, Kill, people won't leave him alone. And what's going to happen? Is he going to go back to the dark side? Is he already back to the dark side? Did he ever leave the dark side? It has all these mystery elements. You bring back Vera Miles from the original Psycho. Again, we're talking about a 22, 23-year gap. That was great. Dennis Franz being as sleazy as hell. God, man, he just when we did a watch party, someone said, "Geez, he just looks like he smells sleazy." You know, he was that kind of guy. And well, you know, he's that type of guy, but he can also play, you know, the regular guy, like he played the cop in Dressed to Kill. You know, he had a cool little role in that. But Dennis Franz is a great character actor. And you also had Meg Tilly coming in there, you know, and that was really, really cool seeing her in one of her early films. It might have been her first, I don't know. But anyways, obviously the sister of Jennifer Tilly. But she was really good in this movie as far as playing this innocent character. And you're just trying to gauge everyone. Like everyone, you're trying to gauge their motives and everything, including Norman Bates. But the great thing about Norman Bates, the way that Anthony Perkins portrayed him, you just felt sympathy for him because he was trying to lead a new life after the events that had taken place in the original Psycho. And of course, he was locked up in the institution. Shout out to Robert Loggia as well, playing his doctor. And he had a great role too. Anyways, I'm ranting, but it's because I love Psycho 2 so much. Nobody really talks about it like they should, including me. It's so underrated. It's one of the best horror sequels of all time. And if you have not seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you check it out. And then go watch Psycho 3 and even Psycho 4. The Psycho franchise is so underrated. And that is partly because of the shadow that the original movie had, rightly so. But I tell you what, guys, there are times when I enjoy Psycho 2 more than Psycho. I think it's more rewatchable than Psycho.
It is.
You know, it's a much more rewatchable movie. And again, Anthony Perkins.
You can't make me kill her.
I mean, everybody else was great too, but Anthony Perkins, a horror legend, and again, more light needs to be shined on him. So I just want to throw that out there. But anyways, that's my number one with no doubt at all. It was not Mountaintop Motel Massacre, Coriander, because that movie is not in my top 5.
Dude,
my number one
I got
was
you,
Psycho
sucker.
2. My number one was Psycho 2. So anyways, this was fun, guys. I really enjoy these top 5s. And for you guys watching, we hope that you enjoy these top 5s as well, because it's a really neat way for us to go down memory lane and give our own individual picks and kind of talk about them with each other and also with you. So by the way, let us know in the comment section what you think of our picks. Let us know what your picks are for top 5 horror films in 1983. Don't forget to hit the like button. It helps to support the channel. We'd appreciate it if you have not subscribed to the Nightwatch Zone. This is the time to do it now, or you will be sent to the Mountaintop Motel Massacre.
No.
Don't let it happen. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel further, you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. It allows you to become a channel member. You get a lot of exclusive content, perks, watch parties, and hangouts with us and the rest of this amazing community. So anyways, we will catch you guys next time when we go to 1984. That'll be soon, so look out for that. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch. Peace.
Okay.